Hello and welcome to my channel. Thank you so much for being here. My name is Millie, and on this channel I talk about yarn, I talk about knitting and crochet. I share my works in progress, my finished objects, my yarn hauls, and I also have a few knitting tutorials that I have added, and I will continue to add those as we go along. So if you're a returning subscriber, thank you so much. If you're new here, welcome. And if you haven't subscribed to my channel, consider subscribing and becoming part of the family. On today's video, I have one finished object and a few works in progress, and I have a ton of granny squares to share with you. So let's get started with the finished object. A while back, I was working on, I showed you this as a work in progress. It's a baby blanket, and it's a gift for a friend of mine, and I finally finished it. I just have one little thing left and I just need to trim that, but it's all done and it's ready to go. And I am happy with the way this project turned out, and I didn't use a pattern. I just chained 100 stitches, and then I done the entire blanket is done with double crochet, and then the border is done with a single crochet and a picot border. So for this blanket I used Hobby Lobby. I love this yarn, and I used 2 shades of pink. So for the body I have this light pink, and then for the stripes I have this shade that's a little bit darker, and then I have this white speckled yarn, and it has a little bit of pink and a little bit of gray, and so it ties everything together. It works well together with this silver here because there are some silver speckles in there, and then the pinks, and so everything works well together. And for this border, which I call silver, it's a light gray with a silver thread going through it. I used this, it's another Hobby Lobby yarn, and it's the Yarn Bee Soft and Sleek Low Peel, and I like using this on the border of blankets or just as striping yarn. I use it a lot in my blanket projects. And so this, I think I forgot to measure how many inches it is, but I crocheted I think about 105 rows. I'll measure and leave all the information down below for those who are interested. So, and then to go with this, I made a little bonnet, and it's made in this speckled color here. And so this is also going with a blanket. And this is a pattern that I found on YouTube from one of the channels that I follow, and I'm going to leave the link to the video in the description. It's very easy even for a beginner crocheter like me, or for someone like me who's not very I'm not very good at crochet, or I'm trying to improve my crochet skills, but this was easy to follow and it works up really fast. And I like the brim here. It is so flexible, and the stitch pattern here is really beautiful. So those two are going to one person and their gifts, and that's my finished project for today. I have some WIPs that I'm also going to share with you, and I have a lot of granny squares. And the first one that I'm going to show you is this blanket, which is big. I don't think I can show it clearly on the camera. I can fit everything in there, but it's all different shades of green, and they are granny squares. So this is the first time that I have actually made a granny square anything. I tried last year. I started this blanket last year, and I'm just finishing it now. And this was the first attempt to make a granny square, and I'm pleased with how it turned out, but it's not perfect, but I'm okay with that. This being my first project, and the problem is the squares are they're not completely straight, at least some of them, but I'm finding that if I stretch them out, they are laying a little bit better. And I'm thinking that once I wash it, while it's still damp, I'm just going to stretch it and kind of make everything align nicely. But for a first project, I am pleased with it. And I just did one color in the middle, and then the last row I did it in black because I wanted the blanket to have, I'm going to add a black border, and I wanted that to match or blend with this part right here. And so I wanted the black to tie everything together. So the only thing that's remaining on this blanket is the border, which I'm not sure what I'm going to do with the border, but I'll figure something out. And then I need to weave in all these tails all over the place. Leave a comment below and tell me if you enjoy weaving in these yarn tails that are left after a project. I hate that part of a project, but in most cases I weave in as I go to eliminate that. But for this specific project, I didn't really weave in as I went. And I can imagine if I was doing those granny squares that have multiple colors, then there would be a ton of ends to weave in, because I have one in the center and then I have two at the end. No, I have 1, 2, 3. I think I have 1, 2, 3, 4 tails to weave in for every square. But I was using some of the tails to sew in the granny squares because I sewed them together with a needle. I didn't crochet them together. I prefer to sew them in, but I have seen a technique where people use a crochet to sew them together, and I'll try that as well. Like I said, I'm just learning and testing out granny squares, and so I'll try different techniques so that I can decide which one I like best. But this is also done with this Hobby Lobby. I love this yarn, and I have different shades of green. So I have, this was an olive green. This is from this family of yarns. So this green is from this family, the yarn bee soft and sleek. I think I have some in my starch here. Let me see. So that is this one, the bright green. But everything else is, I love this yarn, and I'm going to leave all the colors in the description below. And the person that I'm making these for likes the color green, and I had this crazy idea of combining all the different shades of green because she doesn't really care what shade of green it is. And so, but my favorite is this olive green, and this, I think this is a Kelly green. So that's what it looks like. It's really big, but I'm going to take a picture of the blanket laying flat so that you can see exactly what it looks like. but all that's left is the border, and that is what I'm going to be working on soon. But I love it, even though it's not perfect. I think I learned a few things with this, and the next one is going to be better than this. And this year I'm trying to improve my crochet skills, and I'm finding all kinds of interesting things to crochet, but I don't have enough time for that because there are so many things that I want to work on. But I'm going to be working on a lot of blankets because I want to use up yarn that's in my stash, and I think that's the best way to use up your yarn. So basically that's what it's gonna look like, but I love it and I hope she likes it. So when I started this blanket, I also started another one for myself, and so I have a bunch of granny squares that are for me, but I haven't joined them yet. So this is the pile of granny squares that are for me, and you can tell by the color. They are red. They are, so I have different combinations. So I have this red with a black center and a white border because I want to join them with white, and then I'm going to do the border with white. So I made that center, and then I have this one that has a red center with black and then the white trim at the end. And you can tell they are not similar because when I started these were the first one that I tried before I went to the green ones. So some of them have the one row and the others have 2 rows. But since I'm joining them with white, I think they are going to be okay. And then I have the solid black with the white, and then the solid red, and I think that's all that I have. So there's the black, the red and black, the black and red, and then the white. So I have the solid white, and these are ready to be sewn in together. I'm still going to sew these together. I'm not going to crochet them together, but I'm going to try the crochet method in another project, not this one. So that's the second pile of granny squares, and I am happy with them, and I cannot wait to get these all joined together, and then I'll show you the finished project, and this is going to be for me. And then because I'm enjoying the granny squares a lot, I found this interesting book from the library. It's a new book. I think it was published, let me see. It was published in 2023, and the title is Quilted Crochet. And the subtitle says, let me see what the subtitle says. So, Sewed Stitch 14 Colorful Designs. Oh. So it has a quilted blanket, and then, so that's the quilted blanket, and then this is the crocheted blanket. So it's showing you how to make this blanket either by quilting it or by crocheting it. But I'm interested in the crochet because I don't know how to quilt. It's one of those things that I keep thinking I want to learn, but I'm also thinking you already have too many crafts going on. You're not going to have time to add something else that is time consuming. And so I'm looking at the crochet patterns in this book, and that's what I'm going I'm going to use this as an inspiration. And they are like solid squares, they are different colors, they are this regular pattern, the granny square, with different colors. And so I'm planning to make some stuff from here. And I think I like the book enough to get myself a copy. So if you, I like looking at different crochet books and knitting books and sewing books from the library, and then if I like the book, then I'll go back and buy a copy for myself. And I think this is one of those that I want to get a copy for myself. I'm sure you can find it on, I'm sure it's on Amazon, and it's pretty new. So there's 14 blankets that you can crochet from in here. So if you, I'll leave that, I'll leave the title of the book down, and if you're interested in it, then you can check it out. I'm sure it's available at most. If you live in the US, I'm sure it's available in your local library, and if it's not, you can probably request the library to buy. But I find a lot of my inspiration from books from the library. And so that is all I have with granny squares. And now I'm going to show you my progress on my temperature blanket, which is my my third WIP for today. Okay, so I finally finished updating my box, which I'm using for my temperature blanket. So if you don't already know, this is a cardboard box that I got from work, and it's from the Cracker Barrel catering when we ordered dinner for Thanksgiving, and it came in this nice box. But the box was brown, and it had the Cracker Barrel label and everything. And so when I looked at it, I was like, wow, this would work good, very well for to store my temperature blanket, the yarns and everything that I need in one box. But I didn't want to look at the brown box all year long. And so I had this bright idea to add contact paper and make it a little bit pretty. And so I went to Dollar Tree and I found this contact paper. I like floral print a lot, and I like a lot of color, but for some reason this just black and white looks really pretty. And so I decided that's what I was gonna go with. And then I have the contact paper all over the box, and it's not a perfect job, but it's a DIY. I am not picky. I know some parts are not really smooth, but I love the way it turned out. And then I hot glued some jute down here at the bottom. And then I found a box of starfish at Dollar Tree, and they came in threes. And so I have 2 hot glued to that side. And I ran out of jute. So I ran out of this jute right here, and I didn't want to go back to the store. So I found some of my roving yarn, and I hot glued a few rows, and then I have a box of ribbons for different things. And so I decided to put the red to add a pop of color, and then the remaining starfish I glued it to this side. So I like the way it turned out, and it's doing the job that it's supposed to be doing. And then it has this, you can carry it on the side like this, so it's easy to maneuver. So I leave it sometimes in my bedroom, sometimes I bring it up to my craft room, and all my yarn is in this one place. And that is what I love about it, and it fits there perfectly. Let me give you a quick look. So all my yarn fits in there perfect. Look at that. So I have all my yarn caked, and I've arranged it in there. It's not necessarily in the order that I am using it, or it's not necessarily in the order that I have assigned the colors, but it's all in there. And I love it, and it keeps everything in one place. I have my crochet hook in there, and then this doesn't leave there because I take this with me every day so that I can record the temperatures, and my pen stuck on it. And then let me move it to the side so that I can show you where I'm at with my blanket. So this is where I am recording all my temperatures, and as you can tell, as soon as I'm done with, I have a method that I'm using to keep track. So once I'm done with the day, I'm just crossing out that row. And this is February. And you can tell that I haven't crossed out anything in March, which tells you that I'm way behind. So I need to go back and start working on my March because I don't want to be so much behind. But so far I am enjoying the process, and I like the way everything is turning out. And I have my yarn in the back with the colors, and I just flip to the back and go and look at what color I am working on, because not all yarn colors have the name that you would expect them to have, probably except like red and Kelly green. Everything else has some fancy names, or royal blue is okay, but some of these others are, you have to, at least I have to go back and look at the color to see what it is. But I've also made a few mistakes in here, but it's hard to tell, and found myself knitting with the wrong, crocheting with the wrong color, but I didn't rip out anything. I just kept going. So this is where I am at with the blanket. So far, so good. So this is what it looks like. So down here, let me hold it. It's so wide, it's hard to fit in the camera. And I'm going to take out this stitch marker. It keeps making a noise. Okay, so let me fold it so that I can show you nicely. Okay, so from this neutral color, I'm using this to separate the month. So this is January and this is February. So I'm going to be using this color up here because I'm done with February, but I haven't started March at all. And so I'm hoping to start March this week and catch up with all the rows that I'm behind, so that I'm not left with so much backlog, because I don't want to get discouraged. I want to keep going and I want to finish this project. But it can also be not tedious. Don't know which word. What's the word? It's not tedious. It's just too many parts to it, because you have to keep going back and forth with the yarn. And so once you're done with the row, you probably will have, like, for example, like you have to put that yarn down and go find the next color. And that can be a little bit tedious. And so it's not an easy project to take along, but I've been taking it with me to work. But also once it grows larger than this, it's going to be hard to take it anywhere, because, and also because of all these going back and forth with the different colors, that would be a little bit, it's not easy to do that when you're taking your yarn with you, because then you have to take like 3, 4, I think maybe at least I've been taking 4 different yarns with me. So you also need a big project bag for that. So I made a mistake with these, can you tell? So like I mentioned before, I am not as good at crocheting, but I'm learning and I'm improving my skills. So initially I was going to leave these tails and maybe have a fridge on the blanket, but then I decided I don't want that. I want to have a border. And so also, I think when at the point that I decided I wasn't going to leave these tails, I not dropped a stitch. When I came this way, I skipped some stitches. So that's why it's not even. So I think I've estimated like I lost maybe 3 stitches on each side. So that's why you can tell that it's wider at the bottom and it's thinner at the top, but it's also not exactly straight. So that's something else that I'm working on, keeping my sides straight. But this side is really straight and the other side is not. I don't know why. So I'm also weaving in the ends as I go because I hate having all these tails that have to be woven in. So I'm weaving them as I go, and then I'll trim them nicely once I finish the blanket and I put it in the washer and I block it. So this is a linen stitch and I love it, and it's turning out really pretty. So I love the progress on this, and I'm looking forward to the next season when it's going to be, well, I'm not looking forward to the summer, which can get really hot here. What I'm looking forward to is the colors for the summer, which are hot pinks and reds, and those are my kind of colors. Those are the colors that I really love. But I also love different shades of blue and different shades of green. So far, so good. And so that is where I'm at, and I'm enjoying the process and I love it. So if you are making a temperature blanket, leave a comment and let me know how you're doing, how you're enjoying it. If you're still keeping up, are you about to give up? What's going on with it? So that is all I have for you today. If you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up. And if you haven't subscribed to my channel and you're watching this video, consider subscribing. The last time I checked, I think I was at 450, I think, or 450 something. And I really, really thank my subscribers. And I thank you so much for being here. So until next time, happy knitting!